Malik Dawson tapped a few commands into his phone, just outside his home, then paused that he'd changed his Wi-Fi password. That's all. But within minutes, flashing red and blue lights were painting the white siding of his quiet Missouri house. Across the street, Sandra Whitmore stood stiffly on her porch, phone still in hand, watching as two officers stepped out of their squad car. Her lips were pressed tight, as if proud. She'd called them to her. Malik had looked suspicious, standing in his driveway, fingers tapping fast, eyes scanning his screen. She didn't know what he was doing, but she felt it in her gut that something was wrong. So she acted. Detective Jonah Reyes and Officer Talia Grant didn't come in hot, but they came curious. Malik barely had time to ask what was going on before he was facing questions that didn't make sense. Why had a quiet man with a neat lawn and a remote tech job suddenly become a threat? He didn't know it yet, but this wasn't just about him. There was something else happening. Something buried beneath the Wi-Fi password he'd just changed. And the real danger? It wasn't standing in the driveway. It was already inside someone's home. Malik Dawson did not like noise. He did not like block parties, neighborly small talk, or weekend barbecues that ran too late. What he valued, what kept him sane, was silence. That he worked from home as a cybersecurity consultant. Most days, his world was a blend of glowing screens, encrypted code, and the low hum of a ceiling fan. No coworkers, no clients knocking at his door. Just Malik and the rhythm of clean, quiet order. His house in Elm Grove was modest but pristine. A well-trimmed hedge lined the walkway. The curtains were always drawn the same way. His front porch light clicked on at exactly 7:45 p.m., even in summer. People noticed how neat everything looked, but nobody knew much about him. And that was the point. That he had moved into this mostly white, upper-middle-class neighborhood 3 years ago. Since then, he had spoken fewer than 20 words to the people who lived around him. Not because he was rude, because experience had taught him that staying invisible was safer. That a flashback showed him waving politely once at a group of neighbors chatting on a sidewalk. No one waved back. Another memory, him bringing in groceries while Sandra Whitmore's gaze followed him from her window, not curious, but scanning. That he had grown used to it. Every morning, he brewed his coffee at 6:15. Every Thursday he mowed the lawn in straight, even lines. His recycling bin was color-coded with labeled bags inside. Even his router password was a blend of military-grade encryption and obscure pop culture references. Control was how he stayed grounded. Still, every now and then, there were signs that something was off. Lately, his internet had slowed to a crawl. Video calls would freeze. Smart bulbs blinked out for no reason. He had run diagnostics twice. Reset his modem. Nothing worked. Until that Thursday afternoon, when he finally decided to check the router settings directly. That was when everything began to unravel. At the time, it felt small. A tech glitch. A minor annoyance. But as he stood outside in the sun with his phone in hand, scrolling through device logs, he had no idea that someone was watching him through a window, interpreting his silence as secrecy, his solitude as suspicion. In a world where keeping to yourself could be mistaken for hiding something, Malik had made one quiet adjustment to his life, and it was about to make the entire street look at him differently. The device name didn't belong. Malik stared at the screen on his phone, frowning. Elm Grove _X01. It wasn't random numbers like most unknown devices. It was labeled deliberately. He lived alone. No kids, no smart appliances beyond what he'd configured. His phone, laptop, and TV were the only regulars on the network. Maybe the occasional printer. But this, he clicked into the IP logs. The device had been connected for over 72 hours. Non-stop. Something about that made his stomach tighten. With a few taps, he booted every unfamiliar connection off his network and reset his password from the router interface. Then, to ensure the update stuck, he stepped outside into the driveway where the signal was strongest. The Missouri sun beat down through scattered clouds as Malik leaned against the siding of his home, typing out the new credentials. He barely noticed the window across the street where the curtain twitched. Sandra Whitmore stood in her kitchen, holding a coffee mug she hadn't touched in 10 minutes. Her eyes narrowed. There he was again, alone, tapping fast on his phone, standing in the same spot for too long. His face unreadable. His expression focused. Sandra, It didn't look like a man updating his internet settings. It looked like someone hacking. Of course, she couldn't prove it. But Sandra Whitmore didn't need proof when her gut told her something was off. Malik never waved at the kids riding bikes. He didn't come to HOA meetings. And now he was outside, fiddling with his phone like he was breaking into something. Without a second thought, she grabbed her landline and dialed 911. What's your emergency? She spoke quickly, her voice low but urgent. Yes, I need to report something suspicious. My neighbor, he's outside doing something weird on his phone. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel right. The dispatcher asked for details. Sandra didn't have them. She just repeated, he's always out there, just watching, just tapping. Something's wrong. I can feel it. 10 minutes later, a patrol car crept down Oakview Lane and stopped in front of Malik Dawson's house. Malik looked up as the doors opened. Detective Jonah Reyes stepped out first. Tall, square jaw, the kind of presence that said he wasn't here for casual conversation. Right behind him, Officer Talia Grant, smaller build, measured movements, her eyes always scanning. Malik exhaled slowly that he knew that look. He'd seen it before, neutral but not warm, curious but not quite trusting. Reyes spoke first. Sir, he said calmly, we received a call about suspicious activity outside this residence. Mind telling us what you're doing? Malik blinked. Suspicious activity. He gestured to the phone in his hand. I'm changing my Wi-Fi password. His tone was even, but the edge was there, the kind that builds from experience. He wasn't surprised, just tired. Reyes raised an eyebrow. Do you live here? Malik didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped back and pointed to the house behind him. My name's on the mailbox. My car's in the driveway. I've lived here 3 years. Before Reyes could respond, a sharp voice rang out from across the street. He's lying. All 3 turned. Sandra Whitmore stood on her porch, arms folded like a sentry. Her voice carried across the quiet street like an accusation carved in stone. He's always out there doing something. Watching. Tapping on that phone like he's tracking people. It's not normal. Malik stared at her, jaw tight. I was updating my router settings, he said flatly, because someone I don't know has been using my internet. Sandra scoffed. Oh sure, and I'm supposed to believe that. Reyes turned slightly toward her. Ma'am, do you have any evidence your neighbor is doing anything illegal? Sandra faltered. I don't know, but something doesn't feel right. You should check. The detective turned back to Malik, his tone measured but firm. Would you mind if we take a quick look at your router settings? Just to clear this up. Malik hesitated. He knew he didn't know them anything, but he also knew how fast silence could be misread. He unlocked his phone, held it out, and nodded. Go ahead. See for yourself. Reyes leaned in, then stopped, his brow furrowed. There it was again. Elmgrove_X01. Still connected, still active. Detective Reyes narrowed his eyes as he stared at Malik's phone. That device, he said slowly, pointing to the screen. Elmgrove_X01. It's still connected? Malik nodded. It shouldn't be. I reset the password. That means whoever's using it still has access somehow. Officer Talia Grant leaned over to get a better look. Can you show us the logs? Malik opened his laptop, connected it to the same network, and mirrored the router dashboard. A list of connected devices appeared on the screen, most of them labeled clearly. Malik's phone, his work laptop, his smart TV. Then there it was. Again, Elmgrove_X01. Still active. Still pulling data. Reyes's voice dropped a notch. Can you see what it's doing? Malik's fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. I can check traffic history. He clicked through the tabs. The room was quiet, everyone watching. Sandra stood just inside the front door now, hugging herself. Her earlier confidence was starting to slip. Malik found the logs and froze. His eyes scanned line after line of data, then slowly looked up. It's been accessing video feeds. Reyes's tone sharpened. Video feeds? Malik turned the screen toward them. My security cameras. Officer Grant's brow creased. You're saying someone has been watching your home through your own system? That's exactly what I'm saying. He clicked deeper into the logs. A history of IP addresses flashed on the screen. Each connection had a timestamp, a signal source, and a route. Some were from Malik's own devices. Others weren't. This one, he pointed, has been logging in day and night, watching the backyard, the living room, even the hallway. Sandra took a step back, her voice quieter now. You mean someone's spying on you? Malik nodded, but his face didn't. Relax, not just me. Grant leaned in. What do you mean? Malik tapped on another tab. This system flags when other cameras get pinged using the same network. These IPs aren't mine. They belong to nearby homes. Reyes's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. How many homes? I don't know yet, Malik said. But more than one. He clicked again. A small window opened, a live camera feed. A dim hallway appeared. Then a living room. A bedroom. Different furniture. Different layout. Not Malik's house. Sandra gasped. Wait, that's my house. Malik didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He recognized the furniture too. Sandra staggered back, like someone had pulled the ground out from beneath her. That's my hallway. That's my living room. I didn't even know my camera was on. Malik's voice was cold. It was. And someone's been watching. The silence in the room was heavier now. All the earlier tension had twisted into something darker. Reyes stood up straight, jaw tight. This isn't about a Wi-Fi misunderstanding anymore. Grant added, this is organized. It's not some random theft. Someone set this up on purpose. Malik nodded slowly. And whoever it is, they're close. The signal strength proves it. Sandra swallowed hard. How close? He looked her in the eyes, maybe just a few houses down. Malik's eyes stayed locked on the screen. His fingers moved quickly, pulling up the destination logs from the compromised camera feeds. Whoever's behind this, he muttered. They're not just watching. They're storing the footage somewhere nearby. Detective Reyes stepped closer. How close are we talking? Malik pointed to the local IPs. Close enough to share the same signal range. Maybe 2, 3 houses away. The data isn't leaving the neighborhood. Officer Grant leaned over. Can you trace where it's going? I can try. Malik launched a terminal window, his keystrokes rapid but controlled. The command line scrolled like falling dominoes. A map of device handshakes came up, triangulating Wi-Fi strength, ping latency, and frequency overlap. A red dot pulsed on the diagram. Then another. Then a final one, solid, glowing. A location. Malik's stomach dropped. Reyes saw the change in his face. You found it. Malik didn't speak right away. He just pointed at the screen. The address sat there in plain text. A house just 4 doors down. Sandra's eyes narrowed. She stepped forward, trying to read it. Then she froze. No, she whispered. Malik turned toward her, voice level but unflinching. That's your house. Sandra blinked hard. That's not possible. You made a mistake. But even she didn't believe it. The officers looked to Malik. Can you identify which device inside that address? He nodded. Another few commands. The name appeared in bold white letters. Ethan workstation owner. Ethan Whitmore device type. Personal. Laptop. Sandra swayed where she stood. No, she said again, softer this time. He wouldn't. She didn't finish the sentence. Malik didn't need to say it out loud. The truth was staring at her. Her 22-year-old nephew. Ethan had moved in with her last year after dropping out of community college. Always in his room. Always on his laptop. A computer science major who claimed he was just freelancing or studying. Sandra's mouth went dry. Reyes stepped forward. We need to talk to him. Now. Sandra hesitated, visibly shaken. I'll take you. Malik stood too, jaw clenched. I'm coming with you. Reyes looked at him, his voice firm. No, you stay here. We can't risk contaminating this. Malik wanted to argue, but didn't. He simply nodded. Then find out the truth, he said. The officers followed Sandra down the street, the quiet of the neighborhood suddenly oppressive. Every footstep on the pavement echoed louder than it should have. Sandra walked slower now. Her mind raced. She had vouched for Ethan, defended him to family, let him into her home when no one else would. And now she wasn't sure what she'd find behind his bedroom door. As they stepped onto her porch, Sandra's voice trembled. He's probably upstairs. I'll call him down. She opened the front door and stepped inside. Ethan, she called. Can you come down for a minute? Silence. Then, faintly, the scrape of a chair. Soft footsteps above them. Officer. Grant's hand instinctively hovered near her belt. Reyes looked at Sandra. We're going up. She didn't argue. Each stair creaked as they ascended. At the end of the hallway, a closed door waited. Ethan's. Reyes knocked hard. Ethan Whitmore. Police. We need to talk. No answer. Then, the click of a lock. The door creaked open. Ethan stood there, hoodie loose, eyes alert, fingers twitching. At his sides like they were still typing, he looked past the officers, straight at his aunt. "What's going on?" he asked, voice tight. Reyes didn't soften. "We've traced unauthorized access to multiple home networks in this area. That access leads back to your laptop." Ethan blinked. "What? No, that's ridiculous." Grant stepped forward. "Mind if we look at your device?" His jaw tightened. "You don't have a warrant." Reyes didn't blink. "We can get one. Or you can be straight with us now." Sandra's voice cracked. "Ethan, please tell me this isn't true." For a moment, he looked like he might lie again. Then the wall cracked. He looked down. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he whispered. Ethan Whitmore stood in the doorway, posture stiff, fingers twitching slightly at his sides. His eyes jumped between Detective Reyes, Officer Grant, and his aunt. He did not ask why they were there. He already knew. Reyes stepped forward. "Your laptop has been traced to a network breach involving multiple homes. Do you want to explain?" "That." Ethan blinked fast. "No idea what you were talking about." His voice was flat, but his hands betrayed him. Fidgeting, gripping the seam of his hoodie, avoiding all eye contact, Officer Grant's tone sharpened. "You were saying someone used your machine without you knowing?" "I said I do not know what you were talking about," Ethan replied. Reyes folded his arms. "Mind if we take a look at your computer?" Ethan stiffened. "Do you have a warrant?" "No," Reyes said without hesitation, "but I can get one." Quickly, silence stretched thin in the hallway. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then get one." Grant's eyes did not leave his face. "You sure you want to go that route?" Sandra stepped forward now, her voice barely above a whisper. "Ethan, please, tell me the truth." He turned his head toward her, but only for a second. Something in her voice wavered, like she already knew. "Just be honest," she pleaded. "Do not let it get worse." Ethan exhaled sharply and backed into the room, rubbing his temple like it physically hurt to hold the truth in. I was not trying to hurt anyone," he muttered. Grant's tone remained cool. "But you did." Ethan sat down at his desk, avoiding everyone's eyes. The words came out in pieces. "It started as a joke." Reyes stepped closer. "What do you mean?" "I wanted to see if I could get into someone's Wi-Fi, just to prove I could." His voice was thin now, fragile, defensive. "I spoofed a network, just one. Gave it a clean name, something basic so people would connect to it without thinking." Sandra's eyes widened. "Wait, so that was not real internet?" "No," Ethan admitted. "It was a copy, a trap." Reyes's face darkened. "A man-in-the-middle attack." Ethan nodded. "I thought it would be harmless. But once I got in, there were files, devices, cameras." He looked up finally, and the shame on his face made Sandra's heart crack. "I got curious," he said. "At first, I just looked. But then," he stopped. Reyes's voice turned hard. "How many homes?" Ethan stared at the floor. "I do not know." Grant took a step forward. "How many people have you watched?" No answer. "Ethan," Sandra said softly. "Please." His shoulders sagged. "Dozens." Sandra gasped, one hand flying to her mouth. "I saw people in their living rooms, parents in their kitchens, kids doing homework. I never thought anyone would find out." Reyes stepped forward, voice steady. "You are under arrest for unauthorized access of computer systems, invasion of privacy, and unlawful surveillance." Ethan looked stunned, like he had not expected it to reach this point. "Wait. No. Please, Grant was already placing the cuffs around his wrists. Sandra turned her back. She could not watch it. Her nephew, the boy she had raised like her own, the one who sat at her dinner table every night, smiled politely, and said he was applying to jobs. He was the threat, and she had called the police on the wrong man. Reyes guided Ethan down the stairs while reading him his rights. Ethan did not resist. He moved like someone who had already surrendered on the inside. Outside, Malik stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed. He watched the cuffs go on, watched the boy who had violated his home and dozens of others get placed. In the back of a patrol car, Sandra followed them to the porch. She could not meet Malik's eyes. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "You were right." Malik stayed silent. "I made assumptions," she continued. "I looked at you and I jumped to the worst conclusion." He let her words hang in the air. Then finally, he said, "You saw a man changing his Wi-Fi password, and you called the police." Sandra flinched. He continued, voice calm but unmistakably heavy. Meanwhile, the real danger was inside your house the whole time. Sandra looked away. I did not know. You did not ask, Malik said. She opened her mouth to apologize, but he stopped her with a glance. I do not need an apology, he said. Just do better. He turned and walked back into his house. The door closed quietly behind him. Reyes and Grant drove away with Ethan in the back seat. Silent, still, staring down at his cuffed hands, Sandra remained on the porch alone. The same porch where she had once stood, thinking she was doing the right thing. The truth was simpler than she wanted to admit. She had trusted the familiar and feared the unknown, and because of that, she had looked at the wrong person. The sky had shifted by the time they led Ethan to the patrol car. Evening light settled over Elm Grove, warm and quiet, the kind of calm that did not belong to what had just happened. Malik stood at the edge of his driveway, arms crossed. He watched Ethan shuffle forward in silence, wrists bound, eyes cast low. There was no struggle, just wait. Like he had finally understood the damage he had caused. Detective Reyes opened the back door of the squad car, then paused. He looked at Malik across the hood of the cruiser, his voice low but certain. You were right, he said. We would have missed this. Malik gave the smallest nod, but he did not smile. His gaze drifted towards Sandra, still standing on her porch. Pale, shaken, the coffee mug in her hand forgotten. I was just changing my password, Malik said softly. And still, I'm the one who had cops at his door. The words hung in the air, not bitter, just exhausted. Measured, like they had been waiting a long time to be said. Sandra stepped forward, voice catching. Malik, I'm sorry. I didn't. He held up a hand. Not angry, just done. I don't need your apology, he said. Just don't make this mistake again. Sandra blinked. I thought I was doing the right thing. I know, Malik replied. That's the problem. She looked down, her throat tight. She wanted to explain, to justify, but there was nothing left to say. Reyes and Grant climbed into the cruiser. The engine started with a soft growl. Malik didn't watch it leave. His eyes were already on the street light overhead, how it buzzed faintly against the settling dark. He turned and walked toward his front door without another word. Sandra remained on the sidewalk, alone now, the echo of her own decision circling her like a wind she could no longer control. The truth had always been there, 4 houses down, behind the locked door of someone she trusted. But she had not seen it. She had been too busy looking at the wrong face, too sure of what danger looked like, too sure of who it couldn't be. The street was silent again, exactly how Malik liked it. But this silence felt different now that it carried a lesson, one no one wanted to say out loud. A voiceover lingers, not his, not hers, but something between them. Assumptions have consequences. You can be so focused on who you think is the threat that you never stop to see who's really watching.